Alright, so welcome to part 4 of the tutorial. So we are going to begin this part by showing you guys how I was able to create the Rust material on the Blender logo. Alright, so this is Blender, and this we have the logo selected. So this is the material for the logo. So I'm going to walk you through how I was able to create the material. Okay, so firstly I used an image texture, so let's try and preview this. Alright, so let's switch back to cycles and preview this. Alright, so I'm going to turn off the volume. Alright, so I'm going to turn this one off too, and I'm going to render. So make sure you have the camera selected. Turn this back on, turn this on. Alright, so now I'm going to crop it to this. Alright, cool. So we end up getting a fast preview. Alright, so this is the texture I am using for the Rust. So I have the link in the description, so you can go ahead and download it. Alright, so this is the texture. Then I'm using object texture coordinate for this, and I'm using a scale of 100 and everything is 0. Alright, so I'm using 100 for the scale. Alright, so I then added RGB curves, and this is the results I'm getting. So I wanted to make it a little darker. Alright, so the next is to use this as a mask to create this black and white image. So we are using this here to create a mask which is black and white. Alright, so we are going to mix this black and white with the main color to get this result. Alright, so we are getting even more darker texture or darker look. Alright, so the factor was 0.70. so I always say, if you do follow my videos, I like to add details to the textures before I even connect them to the shaders or the BSDF nodes here. Alright, so we have this now. So through a hue saturation value we got this. Alright, so you can see I'm making changes to the color to suit the scene. Alright, so this is what we are getting now, and we then create another pattern using the moose grave texture. So we are not getting much from that one, but we connected the settings we have here to the noise texture, and this is what we are having. So it's a settled, it's like a depth, but really settled. So we use the color ramp to bring back the colors, so you can see now you can see the blacks and the whites. Alright, so we used another noise texture here, and then mix it with this. So we used another noise texture here, and then mix it with this result. So this is what we had. So I used lighting and factor of 1, so we are actually viewing most of the colors here. Alright, so this mix with this using lighting gives this. Alright, so this is what we are getting. So I knew I was going for 2 colors, which is gold and a rust. Like the overall color for the logo was good, but the rust adds up to get 2 colors or 2 or through base colors. So the whites here are my aim for the gold color, and the random colors, random black and white colors here are for the rust. So that was what I was trying to get. All right, so I use the color ramp here to bring the blacks and whites back. So you can see I'm getting rid of those gradients, and again I use this same noise texture with the color ramp with different value to get this. And then I mix it with black to add a little darkness to the whites. Then I use this one as a factor or as a mask, and then mix it with this one to get this result. So we are getting we are building layers upon layers, then we end up getting the look we want. We will end up getting the look we want. So this the base mask for the gold and for the rust. So I added it, I connected this first results we had, which is the rust, to the bottom, and I used a good color like this as I use this color as a good color because it's underwater, so I shouldn't go for a perfect color or for gold. So I just went for this dark looking color to give the illusion that is actually dirty, or to at least to get that illusion. So this is the results we had. So you can see the gold color and the what this black and white values are providing. Alright, so it's a very simple setup made, very simple. So you can just okay, so you can just you can just pause and take a look at how I did it and recreate it. But it's very simple, so I'm very sure you can create it. Alright, so let me zoom up and just do a little. So from here to alright alright so I used this noise. I added a new noise, and this is the settings I use for the noise, and I mix this black and white values with the noise, so we had this result. And then so I intentionally did that to get the bumpiness on the rust. So that was the reason I did that. So through the bump node, this is the results we are getting. Alright, so I wanted to pull the rust parts in walls and bring the gold parts out, so that it will look like layers upon layers. Alright, so by the help of the mask I created and this noise shader, so this was what helped me to get that rust in walls. So the white part is the rust and the black part is the gold. So by the help of this noise shader, this noise node, I was able to add variations on this to get this result. Alright, so through the bump I'm having this, then through the shader this is what I'm getting. So it's pretty dark because this is the scene, and I'm even done with the tutorial, but I just noticed I didn't explain how I was able to create the rust shader for the logo. So I just came back to redo another tutorial for you guys. So the scene is actually done, so you'll be that's why it's dark here, but I wanted to show you guys how I was able to create the rust materials for this. So It was very simple to create. And alright, so here is it. Here is the logo. We can try and turn this up a little to see. Alright, cool. Alright, so this what we are getting. Of course, I knew I have to show you. I have to show you guys the tricks I used to get this. So I'm even done with the tutorial, but I just came back to do this for you guys. Alright, so making tutorial is not easy, but because I have to do it anyway. Alright, so this how I was able to create the rust material, and it's looking interesting. So you can go ahead and pause it and take a look at the results, how I was able to create, how I made the node setup. So you can go ahead and pause it and take a look. Alright, so this is what I had, and I used the same shaders for the text and made a little changes to the scaling. Alright, so go ahead, after you create it, you can just add the same material for the text and change the scaling to fit how this one is looking, to fit the scale of this one. Alright, so let's continue. So we are moving to the second method on how the lights were made for the scene. Alright, so this is the scene. This is where we left off, and we are going to continue from where we actually left off. So like I said in the previous tutorial, there are two ways I did my lighting. So the first one is what we have already done. So I'm going to walk you through the second method and see which one will be best for you. But to me, I chose the second method because I did like the results I was getting, so, and I had extra controls over the light, so I do prefer the second method. Alright, so this is the scene, and you can see all the models are visible, so the lights are actually hidden. So I'm going to unhide the light and for you guys to see how the second method looks like. So it's going to get really crazy here. Alright, so boom. So like I said, this is the second method. So you can see we have so many lights, and it's about come on, so we have 292 lights for this scene. Alright, so the reason I went for this kind of method is adding this amount of lights help to lighten even the place the camera is. So in case you have to go there, you don't need to and make the lights or fake anything. So this is a way for me to at least know that there are lights ahead, or when I move the camera towards the other side of the scene, I'll be able to view what's there. So, and because of the volumetrics, everything, although there are lights there, but it won't be visible until I move the camera close to those lights. So the closer the camera to the lights, the visible the lights are. Alright, so I hope I'm making sense here. So there are many lights on the scene, but the closer ones are the ones which will be seen or which will be visible to the camera. Alright, so that's one reason I went for this kind of method. And another thing about this method is you can see we maintain a little parts of the method 1, which is, let me hide this one. Alright, come on. Alright, so let me hide this one. Alright, so you can see we are still using the method 1 trick here. Alright, so you can see we are using the method 1 here, and so for the method 1 we only had this plane and this lamp here, but I noticed this wasn't giving, and this wasn't doing much like I did expected, so I added these 2 lamps and a very small plane with holes in them to cast extra rays. Alright, so this one will be casting the bigger rays and this one will be casting the smaller rays. So these ones are the ones the camera is going to see. Alright, so and because of doing this I have control over every ray. Like this, take this plane as a ray, take this plane as a ray, so I have extra controls over the rays, the strength and the appearance of them. Alright, so you can go ahead and check the settings for these guys. So I have 2.5 GW as the power, blend 0.313 shadow, no contact shadow. Alright, so I have 1, so you can see I have 2.5 here, but I have 1 here. Alright, you can see different settings here, almost the same, but I think the difference is the power. So this one too, I have 500 MW. Alright, so this one with different power. So like I said, with this step you have extra controls over the lighting. Alright, and you can see we still have this lamp here for to soften the shadow here, and we are still using this guy here for the bigger rays. Alright, so after I'm done with the lights, I then move to the volumetrics. So you can see I'm in the world settings, and this is the settings for the volumetric. So I take volumetric shadows, and all these are default values. So again I'm using EEVEE, and I used just a volume scatter node to get that volume I wanted. So the value for the density is 0.165, and I left this one to the default, which is 0. Alright, so I intentionally didn't use principled volume because the results this one gives me is different from the results this one will give me, even if I have the same value at the density. But I really like what I was just getting from this one, so I ended up just using this one. So you can just use just the volume scatter to get the results I had. Alright, so if you take a look at this lamp again, this one is having 200 MW as the power. So let's see. So you can see all of the lights are having the same power, so meaning they are all having the same settings. Alright, so this is the second method, and it's very easy to set up, and you end up getting extra controls over the lighting. Alright, so after making this method, this is the results I had. So this is the results I had. So you can see everything here. You can see the effect I'm getting from these small lamps here. So these ones are the ones making the, you can see what's happening. So these ones are the ones creating the rays here. Alright, so this is the results I had after rendering, and I used EEVEE for rendering. Alright, so this was made with EEVEE. So after that, you can see there is no particles. So the way I used the particles was I rendered it on a separate Blender document or Blender file. Like, it was the same scene, but it was a different Blender file. So I made certain changes to the scene and I rendered it, and I rendered it in black and white, so that I can mix that with the final image and get the results I want. Because I noted that was the way to get the tiny particles and the floating particles. So that's the way I did it. So let me go ahead and open that blend file for you to see. Alright, so it's around, alright, so underwater scene bouquet. Alright, so you can see we still have our particles, which we did in the previous tutorial, but I deleted all the shaders I've made for the materials and made everything black. So you can see when I go back to object mode, select the floor, so you can see it's black. You can see this one, everything is black apart from excluding the particles. So everything is all the models here is black excluding the particles. So then I later on made these particles white. So let me try first. Let me so we are still in EEVEE, but let me, alright, so let's maintain EEVEE. It's likely it's going to crash, but let's see what will happen. So EEVEE, let me select the camera and turn off, because it's going to render as how it is, but I used depth of field to get extra bouquet. So let me first disable it and render it for you guys. Alright, so this is what we are getting. Very simple, but immediately I add this effect, you can see what we are getting here. So we are getting the bouquet very easily, and we are still able to see some small particles in the scene. So if you really take a look at underwater scene, you can see the closer ones are something like this, very blurry, but those which is far away from the camera is still visible. You can still see the shape. So that was my aim. So thankfully I was able to get that. And the trick or the way which helped me to get this result was changing the focus object to empty and then moving the empty. So this is the focus object, so you can see it's far away, but let me move it closer to the camera. You can see some of them are disappearing. So the more closer it is to the camera, the less particles you see. Alright, so let me so another way, more closer, so you can see all the particles which are far away are now getting blurry, and that wasn't what I was looking for. So if this is something you want, you can go for something like this, but this wasn't realistic enough for me, so I went for this kind of look. Alright, so I maintain this, I use the same scene because the particles, it will sell the effect that the particles are really part of the scene. So if a particle is moving behind this logo, the Blender logo, is going to disappear, which will really show that the particles are actually part of the scene. So that was the main reason I maintained the models in the scene. Alright, so this is how I created the particles in the scene, and after rendering it I had the black and white scene. The next step I did was to mix this image with the original render. So I'm going to open the blend file for you to see what I did. So underwater scene, arrange. Alright, so this is the final arrangement or final post. So you can see I've already added the sound, but we can go ahead and hide or mute this. So just mute. Alright, cool. So let's play this in. So this is a group, so I just have to hit tab or I don't want to use the keyboard. Alright, so this actually, so underwater scene bouquet. So let's hide it and see it. So when we play it, it's actually the image I showed you guys, but when we add this, we start to make the scene look live. Alright, so there's a way of saving a lot of render time, because if I was supposed to render all this together, I would have spent a lot of time. So this is another cheat I used to get this scene done. Alright, so so after that I made it a group, and then I did some alright, this one. So I added a transform, then I did some color correction on it to get this look. So again I added this effect to it, so let me unhide it, and so a little, it's very subtle, but it was okay for me, so I added it anyway. So this is the end of the tutorial. These are the tricks I used to get this underwater scene. So I hope you guys end up getting the same results, and I hope this was really helpful for you guys. So like I said, at the end of the tutorial I'll be showing you guys the next tutorial I'll be uploading. So my next tutorial will be creating a hidden castle in Blender 2.8. so you can see this is a good thing, and this was something, a reference I took from the movie stock. So remember to subscribe, and hopefully we are going to meet in the next tutorial.